Hi, this is our next lesson in finding your place in life and in ministry. And this is the letter A in the word place. And so far, we've had a journey of finding out our personality types with the DISC personality assessment, whether you're a lion, an otter, a beaver, or a golden retriever. And we found out how that relates to our life and in the ministry. And we've looked at the other people in the classes' personalities as well and how that connects and what that looks like, and having a better understanding of that along the way. Last couple weeks we've looked at our spiritual gifts, and we've done a different assessment there where we're finding out our 7 different spiritual gifts and which ones are going to be higher for us in our life and how we use those and what those look like in our life. And then today we're going to be looking at the A in place, which is abilities awareness. And I believe that abilities awareness is probably the one of the major letters in the word place that's going to be probably the greatest indicator for where you, the individual, will be able to find out where you're probably going to both be more competent in serving in both life and in ministry. So let's go ahead and jump in tonight to the letter A. So the question is this: what is abilities awareness? And here's the definition we're going to look at. I think this abilities awareness is defined as the optimal environment or surroundings you need to be where your personality and spiritual gifts flourish. I often say it's kind of the arenas in life that you're going to thrive, and where you're going to be using spiritual gifts and personality and other pieces of you, that you're going to be in this arena, and it's just going to be easy. It's going to be the place that you realize, man, this is where I need to be. And so that's a part of what we're going to be trying to find out tonight. Now, some of the background with this started with a guy about 70 years ago named John Holland. And John Holland he was a psychologist who actually created what's now called the Holland Code. It's also in some circles called RIASEC, which is RIASEC. And companies who had many employees wanted to know, if we have these thousands of employees, we really need to know where to place them. We really need to know where to put them. So they talked to John Holland, the psychologist, and he came along and created what's now called the Holland Code, where he could, after assessing these individuals, determine what was the best arena or environment within that company or within small groups of the company where the individual would thrive, where they could best use their personality and gifts and talents and skills and extrovertedness or introvertedness or whatever it may be to do best. And so that's where he came into play, and that's what we're actually using with this, but just using it to find out what's the best arena or environment that I need to be working with within the church setting. And so again, this is more of the arenas, the areas or environment that you're going to work best in. So let's go ahead and look at these 6 different abilities awareness. And one thing I want you to be doing as we go through these is, as I read these and as you read them on the screen, I want you to really be thinking after each one of these, is that me? Does that describe me, or does that not describe me at all? And again, after we read these 6, I want you to be doing the same thing. Again, I want you to be looking at these 6 after we've read through them and be thinking, what do I think mine is? Which one describes me probably the best? So let's go ahead and look at our first one. Our first one is enterprising. And this is the person that would be score high under enterprising. I have a great facility with words, which I can put to effective use in selling and leading. I enjoy persuading others to my viewpoints, and I'm impatient with work involving precision or long periods of intellectual concentration. I see myself as energetic, adventurous, self-confident, and dominant. So my question so far would be, how many of you would definitely say, yeah, that is me. I'm definitely enterprising. That probably describes me to a T. Here's our next one. Our next one is social. I am social, responsible, and concerned with the welfare of others. I express myself well and get along well with others. I like to be near the center of groups and prefer to solve problems by discussing them with others. I view myself as cheerful, friendly, popular, a high achiever, and a good leader. So far out of these 2, which one would best describe you? Or are you thinking, neither one really describes me very well. There's probably another one that's going to be coming up that describes me much better. But how many of you would say that you would probably be a social as your number 1? Next is investigative. And this would be the investigative type. I prefer to solve abstract problems and understand the physical world rather than acting upon the world. I enjoy complicated problems and intellectual challenges. I do not like structured situations, lots of rules, or working around many people. I have unconventional values and attitudes and would like to be original and creative, especially in scientific areas. I would describe myself as analytical, curious, reserved, and independent. So, after reading Investigative, how many of you think that's probably me? I think that may describe me kind of to a T more than the ones we've read so far. Next is artistic. And this is the artistic. I prefer unstructured situations where I can deal with problems through self expression in an artistic medium. I prefer to work alone or with just a few others. I have a great need for individualistic expression and am sensitive and emotional. I would describe myself as independent, original, unconventional, and expressive. And again, how many of you at this point saw this one and thought, okay, finally, that's probably me? I'm a lot more that way than the other ones described so far. Let's look at our next one. Our next one is realistic. I am practical, active, and have good physical skills. I like to work outside and create things with my hands. I prefer to deal with things rather than ideas or people. Sometimes I have difficulty expressing my ideas and communicating my feelings to others. My political and economic ideas are fairly conventional. I would describe myself as rugged, robust, practical, and physically strong. So, if you've read the others so far, now you've gotten to realistic, how many of you would say, man, that's definitely me? I like working with my hands. I like doing things outdoors, or I'd rather work with things and people. That is definitely me. And then next, and our last one here is conventional. And here's the conventional. I prefer highly ordered activities, do not like to be the leader, and like working in a well established chain of command. I like to know exactly what is expected of me and feel uncomfortable when I do not know the rules. I see myself as traditional, conventional, stable, and well controlled and dependable. So again, for you, if you've read through all these and now you got into conventional, maybe for you, some of you are in that are watching this right now are thinking, okay, finally that is me. I wasn't investigative, I wasn't artistic, I wasn't realistic, but conventional is definitely me. So again, if you were guessing, which letter would you guess would be your number one type of environment that you would work best in? You see so much of what Ryasek is trying to find out is really just simply what environment would you work best in? What arena or areas would you really thrive in when it comes to these 6 letters? So when it comes to this idea, I want you to think about and look at, turning your book to page 22, 22 in your workbook. And now that we've kind of talked about some of this, I want you to get me to help me fill in some blanks. And again, if you have your book, go ahead and turn there. And as we go through these items, we're filling in some blanks. I want you to be grabbing your book and filling in these blanks along the way as well. So here we go on page 22. Here's the first a few questions you're going to help me with. The first question is this: why would an individual desiring to become a world-class snow skier not choose to live year-round in South Florida? And again, there's 2 blanks there. So if you were answering this question, how would you answer this question? Well, here's the answer. The answer to why someone desiring to be a world-class snow skier would not choose to live in South Florida year-round is because simply it's a bad environment. It's the wrong environment, right? Next, why would an individual desiring to become a world-class water skier not choose to live in the Rocky Mountains or at an elevation 10,000 feet year-round? And again, the answer is it's a bad environment. And then our third question, if you're following kind of the theme so far, and why would an individual desiring to become a cattle farmer not choose to live in New York City? If you've been following along, you know the answer already, and the answer simply is it's a bad environment or the wrong environment. Now I want you to turn to page 78 in the back of your book, and this is where we're going to start working on the assessment. In doing this will probably take you 10 to 15 minutes or so. Um, and what you're going to do is when you turn to page 78, you're going to actually be looking at items 65 through 88, which are on pages 78 and 79. And what happens is in the back of the book, if we were to follow the spiritual gifts lesson in the book, what the book does is it combines the spiritual gift assessment with the abilities awareness assessment as well. So items 1 through 64 are really about the spiritual gifts, which we've already done. We did that one on our own. Items 65, questions 65 through 88 are really assessing you for your abilities awareness or your Holland code or RIASEC. Okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to be answering simply only the questions number 65 through 88. And by each question, you're going to put a 5, a 4, a 3, a 2, or a 1. Now here's what that's going to look like. So if you put a 5, you're basically saying that that is almost always true for you. If you put a number 4, 4 means that's often true. A number 3 is going to be sometimes true. A number 2 is going to be that it's seldom true. And if you put a number 1 down by the item, that means that for you it's almost never true. So 65 through 88. Now here's a couple things I want to run past you as you do this. Number 1, as much as you can, I want you to avoid using the number 3. And the reason that is it would be a lot easier if you were going through this just to almost put a number 3 by each one of these, because remember the 3 is sometimes true. But I want you to not hesitate to use the number 5. The best way to do this assessment is to simply be honest and go with your initial gut feeling. Okay, so that's the strategy with doing this. Now, once you've completed the assessment, which will be 65 through 88, those items, and all those items will have a number, either a 5 all the way down to a 1 by it. Then you're going to go over to page 81, and on page 81, there's kind of a chart there. And if you look, there's the numbers 65 through 88 in that chart. So you're going to flip back over to the what you just filled out, and whatever you wrote down for 65, 66, 67, and so on, you're going to take those numbers and transplant them into the chart there on page 81. Now, once you do that, and you have a number for each one of those items, you're going to basically add up each column or row going from up to down. If you notice, there's a column for R and a column for I and A and S and E and C. And so you're going to go ahead and add up all the ones in that first column and put that number at the bottom. And then the second column, third column, all the way across. And then what you're going to notice is whatever your highest number is, or that corresponds to a letter, that being the RIASEC, whatever your highest number is, that corresponds to your Holland code. Now you're going to put your 3 highest down. Now if you're like me, I scored a 19 on my C, which is conventional, but I had a tie for my second one, which is the S, the social. I also had a 19 for my S, and I think I had a 12 or 13 for my I. So then my Holland code, which I would put in those 3 blanks right below that, would be either a SCI or a CSI. So I'm a conventional social investigative. After I've done that, I want to pull out my big sheet that I passed out in class. And what you're going to do on your big sheet is you're going to put all your numbers down like you have there onto your big sheet. And you can make dots and lines, or you can make a bar graph if you want, and to go ahead and transplant it there as well. And then the last thing I want you to do, kind of for a piece of homework, is after you've found out your Holland code, your abilities awareness, I want you to turn the back of the book to pages 102 and 103. In pages 102 especially, it tells you a little bit more about John Holland, the psychologist, and kind of what he was looking for and what you were trying to accomplish in doing the assessment that you've just got now finished. And then on page 103, it gives it more of a description of all the different Holland code, the RIASECs. And I want you to read through there. I want you to get a better understanding of how you assessed and which ones you assessed for and what your highest three are, and get a better understanding of what that means for you. So this will be a two-part class. Tonight will be part one, and I wanted to at least get you through your assessment and kind of giving you a basic understanding of RISEC and the Holland Code, abilities awareness, and what it is and what we're doing here. Next week, we'll jump into more scripture and look at the Bible characters that have very similar Holland codes that you have and what that means and more. So thanks for being a part of the class tonight. We'll move on to part two next week. Thanks.